What?
Yeah,
Oh,
so he will doodle
okay. He wants me to read this. Welcome to the All American Otaku Show. Is that right? Okay, don't kill me. Thank you. Bye.
That's so good.
All American Otaku, join the ride. Jumping in where the stories collide. From the screen to the song, this is where we belong. All American Otaku, let's come alive. Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the All American Otaku Show. Today's episodes are the Crunchyroll 2026 Anime Awards. I know there's been a lot of YouTubers and a lot of anime coverage people who've covered this already, but I've had other things like the 100th episode. I had the premiere episode, which I did with Mr. Pat on overpowered characters. This leads into the first episode that is not a premiere or not a event like the 100th episode to talk about the Anime Awards. The Anime Awards was normally on time. It was actually around on at 1 a.m. or so in the US at Pacific time, and when it was in Japan at 5 p.m. The brief synopsis of the Anime Awards, I find they were well presented. The people who did the pre-show and did the interviews and talked there, you could really tell that there were major anime fans and they were really into the industry. They weren't just trying to oversell stuff or go for what's up and coming or over advertise or say this is why you have to go for this is why you have to go for that. This is how we I love the art, I love the cosplay and things like that they talked about. They also talked about more or less how they got into anime, played anime style games. What was your favorite anime? What was your, if you could be in this world with this world in this world, what would you do? Or what got you into anime in the first place and why you love this industry there. This awards pre show shows the vast scale of how anime has become. They talked about how they've been doing the Crunchyroll Awards for 10 years, and it started off being a small section in a bar in California to now going into one of the most elite hotels in California, not California, Tokyo, where they became a black tie event where people are dressed to the nines. There was tables everywhere, like in a ballroom or something in this hotel. They talked. The awards were well decorated with the orange, and it says Crunchyroll, the orange carpet. It felt like something like to say out of the Academy Awards from its humble, going back to its humble beginnings, where it felt more like this is a very niche market, so we're going to try to advertise. It shows the idea where Crunchyroll started off as a pirate site that would show us anime through streaming and things like that, when there wasn't a very many ways to watch anime except for Toonami, or if you had ways for the Japanese thing, or ways to get them on DVD or VHS or Blu-ray. It shows the evolution of Crunchyroll, that they have these awards for 10 years. They went from small and not very many celebrities and not very many industry guests to huge, where there's plenty of celebrity guests in industry. This goes to show one of the past awards I showed. They had a football player from the Detroit Lions at the time. They had Sasha Banks, or better known as Mercedes Monet there. They had Selena Vega in previous ones. They had Xavier Woods in previous ones, athletes, actors, singers, and so forth. This one was no different. They had a classic thing from the Wu Tang Clan there, who you didn't really know was an anime fan, but shows that he's a huge anime fan of Akira, fan of Ghost in the Shell, and various other classic cyberpunk animes that really paved the way, these 90s anime, which is going to be an episode for a later date. We're going to talk about animes in the 90s. This really showed the idea of what it was like to be a classic anime fan, to be a current anime fan, and what anime may have in the future. The people presenting it did real well. The music was fairly awesome, and particularly the Evangelion music that they played, where they had the female vocalist that was originally from the Evangelion show, and they had the male dancers who were perfectly choreographed, and the music played well. The build up played well, where you got one award after another award, even though there was some awards given out during the pre show. It really felt like this is a really big deal, even though the awards itself and who've won, you could tell was a very popularity contest because it was, because a lot of the awards were going into the idea of, okay, we're going to have fans vote for the awards, but the problem is the fans who go vote for the awards have to have the Crunchyroll subscribing site. And usually, when you go for certain fandoms, and some fandoms are stronger than others, despite which one is more deserving and which one's more needed for a certain award, they don't always win because of that fact. To me, the best way to do the award thing is partially fan vote mixed with industry vote. Kind of industry vote, kind of like what they do for the Hall of Fame in sports. And fan votes so fans could feel like they're involved and we could get a gauge in the idea what's not necessarily popular, but what is the fans outspoken about the certain awards. And when if you had a combination of two, you could have more of a fair and more just system for the awards, and more people not really complain about, okay, this one instead of this one because this one was more deserving. For instance, last year I felt that Freerun should have won Anime of the Year, but instead it was Solo Leveling, which didn't have as strong as a story as Freerun, while Solo Leveling is your stereotypical action and isekai thing, which ends up being very popular, but not necessarily the most deserving. This year was no different. The one who won was the final season of My Hero Academia. For starters, My Hero Academia has one of the largest, but some would say the most toxic fandoms in anime. So much so, the creator who wanted to make My Hero Academia as long as One Piece. If you guys don't really realize how long One Piece is, it's over 1,000 and some odd episodes and still climbing. What changed it is the fans didn't like how the ships were. They thought Kochkon and Deku should have gotten together. They thought, okay, this is going to be some homosexual relationship, but that's not necessarily the case. It's because a lot of the U.S. audience think if there people are friendship or there's rivalry, there's got to be love tension there. And that's not necessarily always the case in storytelling. And the idea that they thought they know more than the creator and were sending death threats, the creator decides to end it to where it get to a point and decides to end it earlier. The final of My Hero Academia, however, did have a good story and it was a continuation of season 4. So that's one of the reasons I didn't think it deserved Anime of the Year, because it was continuation. And it was more of a idea to a finale, how to end this series. It had callbacks from Gentle Criminal. It had callbacks from the Sniper Lady. It had callbacks from the idea of the guy with the hands on his face, and the dissolve things, more of his story and background story, how he became and how his powers were misunderstood. You've seen that again there was a lot of recurring things like the character from that draws blood who ends up helping Ochaku, and the idea of the heroes come back, that they come there, villains come back and join sides. It was a satisfying conclusion. But the one that I felt that should have won Anime of the Year of this year, even though it wasn't as popular as My Hero Academia, was Apothecary Diaries Season 2. Season 1, it was this whole story of the detective things and using medicine, such stuff through plants. The idea of creating a Chinese court system. The under intrigue of Apothecary Diaries. And then Season 2 ramped it up to 11, where you had the idea where the main female character was kidnapped and they had to rescue her. The battle between the relationships she has with the people there, as well as the relationships of the people who were in charge of the kidnappers, so you could feel sympathy for them. The story had more layers than the final season of My Hero Academia. The story had better characters than My Hero Academia, but My Hero Academia won because it is by far the more popular series. And it goes for that common denominator. If that was the case, that My Hero Academia was so superior, it would have won every award that it was up for. Instead, it only won 3 out of the 5 or 6 or 7 rewards that it was up for. And not all the animes that had great stories were up for Anime of the Year or awards for that matter. Some of them were left out because they weren't as popular. They didn't have the sting of the other ones, or it didn't have the advertisements or the overall scope of the other ones when it comes to marketing. This anime awards music was good. The presenter is good. The idea that they had a academy, not academy, the Grammy Award winner who also performed on the Super Bowl. Not necessarily my favorite musician, but still a legendary musician in their own right. The Weeknd giving out the final award for Anime of the Year. These are my thoughts of the Crunchyroll Anime Awards. Thank you.
Morning pages, thinking tea. Dog eared panels next to me. Late night quests and chapter break.